How's it going, Scrub Gamers? It's your boy Scrub Games coming at you with a juicy new piece of content for you to enjoy. But before we do get into the topic of the video, I just want to let you know how you can help support the channel, and that is by checking out Firestorm Games using my affiliate link in the description box below. Because Firestorm Games offer a whole host of products for almost every kind of hobby there is, be it Dragon Ball Super, Pokemon, One Piece, you name it, and they'll likely have it, and at some quality prices too. So just make sure to click the link below and check them out to see the whole host of products they offer while helping support the channel. And also, remember, there's another way to help out the channel, and that's by dropping a like, leaving a comment on the video, and best of all, hitting that subscribe button to keep up to date with my content when it drops. Because I'm still on the road to 1k subs and looking to hit that by the year's end. But now we've got all that sorted, let's dive into the topic of the video.
Right then, Scrub Gamers, let's get in. As you see from the topic of this video, I'm gonna do what I've done before, like when I did with the last finals, like a little bit of a prep help video, getting prepared for it. Because this weekend we have I'm counting for the EU, and I have no idea about any other region. In the EU, we have two regionals coming up this weekend. That being the online raid and trade regional on the Saturday, and then the offline no heroes event in Germany on the Sunday. So we have these two regionals. So I thought I'd do a little video to get prepped, because there's nothing worse than someone not being prepared for it and coming up, like, just basically arriving down to the event and like being able to jumble where they have no idea, they're not prepared for it, and then yeah, it goes all sideways. So I thought I'd do a little video to help, and this is it. So September regional prep. So we'll start off with the first and most basic thing, and that is get yourself registered. Now, if you're not registered for an event and you turn up to it, there's a chance you're not going to be able to get into it. Where, like, for online events, like buying a ticket closes a bit before the event starts. So if you like turn up when the event's starting and you don't buy a ticket, you probably can't get in. And I can't remember for offline, because with the EU, like especially in the UK, having one tournament a year in person, yeah, just the UKGE event. That's it. We don't get many, so I can't remember exactly how. But then if you're not registered before the event's about to start, like in enough time before, you're not gonna be able to enter. Because I know we had that with we had some issues with one of the first one at UKG event with registration. So make sure you get registered beforehand, so that way you definitely be able to go into be an event and actually play in it. If you're not, you're gonna kind of have a little bit of an issue and waste your time if you don't do that. So go ahead and register for your event. That's the first thing. Now, next two things. Since we have one event that's online, one event that's offline, I've got separate things for each of them. So one thing each. So the first one we have is sort out your setup, which is for online only, because you don't need to worry about your setup when in person. We kind of do, but this is more focused on the online one, and that is sorting out shit setups. Because I've seen so many, like with my locals, like mainly on like big regionals when watching streams, people have absolutely shit setups. Like I've seen it where people are just playing, looking from the corner of their setup or sideways and stuff like that. Like people have had some trash. I even see someone like chewing on a bin while sat down on the floor with their camera just looking like a small portion of the map with like a tiny play area as well. Like some people have terrible setups, and in my locals and stuff like that, it's not too bad 'cause you're not playing everything. For even like locals anywhere, it's not too bad because nothing on the line. It's more casual. But in big events, you should have a proper setup sorted out. You should have it set up so it's clear to see your board. Make sure your hand is in view so it's not going off screen. Because as we've seen with the history of webcam events in this game, people do feel like if they've got a chance to cheat, they will cheat. Not that everybody cheats, but some people have shown that they will cheat because there's nothing more going on in life for them to just cheat at a Dragon Ball event. But people will do it. So you need to have like a clear setup so you can see it's clear, because it not only just helps. It helps like people watching, if they're watching our stream, be able to see what's going on. Because sometimes commentators will just rail off or be terrible. Like not all of them, but some of them. Like I normally watch streams with the commentary off on majority of them, which some of them don't even have commentary. But it's better just like if someone's watching, they can see what's clearly going on. If you're playing against someone, your opponent can see what's clearly going on without issue. And because like in where you can't just like in person, you just have a look at your board, reach over, grab stuff. You have to actually ask and stuff like that. And if it's not clear to see, it's going to take a lot more time as well. And it just helps you not cheat as well. So make sure you've got your setup sorted and make sure it's actually clear to see everything is. I think even Bandai's got a bit when it comes to webcam events. I think in some of their like guidelines, rules and stuff, like examples of screenshots and a document to cover the requirements for online for like your webcam setup, like your setup for playing, and even raid and trades. They've even got something on the Discord covering their requirements as well for online play. So go and refresh yourself with that and get that sorted because you've got days before the event. Given that it's Tuesday today, and yeah, it's not until Saturday, so you've got plenty of days to sort your setup, so it's not shit. So there's the first one. So that's for the online. And then for the offline one, we've got sort out your travel and accommodation. Because of course you don't need to sort that out for offline event or online events, because the fact you're playing from the comfort of your own home. But for offline events, you need to make sure you have that sorted because you need to get to the event, get to where you need to, where the place is playing for the event to get there. In this case, being in Germany. So if you're doing it short notice, get that sorted out today. Get yourself registered, get your travel and accommodation sorted out. Tell me if you need be, unless you're going to travel on the day in the morning. But get all that sorted out to make sure you can get there in time and actually play in the event. So not much really go over that. Just get that sorted if you're traveling, unless you're in, well, even if you're in Germany already or from anywhere neighboring. You make sure you've got that travel sorted out at the very least to know how you're going to get there, sort out the time frame, stuff like that. That's a simple thing to do. So that's the ones for each specific kind of regional online and offline. Then we go on to the next one, and that is get familiar with the new set. Because one thing we normally have in the EU that we've had a fair few times is that we have an event happen just as like a set is just officially releasing, and the majority of the time we've had it like in the past, it's been that the ban list is in effect for that new set, but the set isn't. So we've had that kind of unique. I say unique. It's kind of like it just feels pointless after the event because it's not going to make any impact to the next format when the format's properly in effect or anything like that. It's just these weird, unique, niche formats where we're like in between. So we've got the previous format but with the new ban list but not the new set. And luckily for this one, both events have the new set legal. So even though it's released officially on this coming Friday, before like the days before the event, it is legal for them. So you need to get yourself familiar with the set because there are some decks that people are kind of hyping, like the Gogeta deck and stuff like that, that people may pick up and have ready for it. And if you have no idea what to do and haven't familiarized with yourself with the what's in the new set and what kind of decks are in there, you might have to end up playing against one, get caught off guard, and then that's it, you're out. Because at least with the online one, it's going to be best of one. And with the offline one, I'm not sure how it's going to be. Even if it's best of one or best of three, you still don't want to be caught out. So familiarize with the new set since it is legal for this set, and see what decks can do, what you expect. So you can kind of prepare your deck. You might need to put in stuff in your side or your main to help deal with certain ones that might give your deck a bit of a few problems. So I think the Gogeta one is the main boogeyman of the set, and if you haven't got a way to deal with its secret rare, then that could cause you a bit of trouble. So that's one little bit of advice. And then the next one we have is brush up on your rulings and the meta. So yeah, so like some people I've seen like from my personal experience from judging past events, some of the judge calls we get are mostly just very basic things that simply just reading the card or understanding how the mechanics of the game work are easily answered. Like some things about counterplay. Like counterplay is probably one of the biggest one. The counter windows is one of the biggest things that normally get called up. But just brushing up on your rulings, understand the base mechanics of the game, just like the simple, most basic things of the game, can help you out. It can save you a bit of time on online, well, especially on online events where you haven't got much time and it takes a bit longer to when communicating, checking your opponent's board through a camera. So checking it up on the meta as well to understand, because I think there's videos by like the Lookout and stuff like that that have the like what's been doing well at previous events, what the decks are that perform best, because if you forget what the meta stands for, is the most effective tactics available, being that the most effective decks are normally the ones that do the best. Like I think it's Green Gohan and some other things, and Golden Frieza are two that are doing quite well so far. So brush yourself up on the meta, see what the most effective decks are, because they're probably ones you're going to be have a higher chance to play more consistently, and make sure you're prepared for them, and your rulings based upon it. Especially with your own deck, you should always learn them with your deck, the rulings for certain card interactions, so when it comes down, you got it sorted, and on especially with rulings with some like things that might happen or some other meta decks can do. That'll be out. It saves you a bit of time, and it makes it a little bit easier, because then when you do a play, you know you're going to do it correctly. So that's one. And then we have the next one being make sure you have your accessories and clean sleeves. That means make sure you got your player mat ready, you got your dice as well, got any counters or anything you need, mainly like your dice, your player mats, and clean sleeves. I've seen people bring to events before some like really grubby sleeves where it's like grease on it and everything and it just sticks together. That's not great. What it's going to do is either make it harder to shuffle your deck, or just ruin like the randomization of your decks. Either they're going to stick together, so often you're going to have either terrible hands a consistent amount of time, or you're going to have amazing hands where it's not really shuffling properly. So make sure you got fresh, clean sleeves, and also you got your accessories, your playmat, your dice, whatever you need to help you actually play the game, all the things you need. So make sure you got that. Some people sometimes forget. I've seen people not have dice before, so they've just had like something else to try and use as counters, like little bits and bobs. Always make sure you got the necessary things you need, especially if you know your deck's got like union focus. Sure you've got something to count markers on a unison. If you got something that you've like, well, yeah, that's the only thing I think of unison, like with unisons with markers on, especially tokens as well. If you play something that plays tokens, make sure you got tokens, active things you can check, see when it's in rest mode, when it's in active mode, things like that to help out. Especially in this game where now we've got tokens for almost everything that can make a token. You've got now even Demon Realm Soldier tokens that have the right stats on it as well to help you out there. So that's one thing, and we've got another thing as well, which is get your deck list submitted. At least with the online one, I can't remember with offline if you just it used to be you just handed it in on the day on offline ones, like they come and collect it. But I know sometimes now, even offline events, you've got to submit it online. So get that submitted, get your deck list sorted, submitted, and checked in, because that way you don't have to fumble around and potentially get penalties for not submitting a deck list. Because there will be penalties if you don't submit a deck list, because then it could be a potential cheating and stuff like that with submitting it after you've played a game or something like that. But getting that submitted as quick as possible once you feel like you've got the deck list sorted. Don't leave it till the last minute, because it can kind of screw you over. And it makes it easier for everybody, because then you can get the tournament started as soon as possible. So everybody's got their deck list submitted, and early you do it. You don't necessarily need to submit it early, but at least get it done at least a good amount of time before the event actually starts, to make sure you've got everything ready, and you're then just waiting to start the first round. And then we got one more point, being prepare yourself for a long day. So sometimes events like online events, they can go on for quite long depending on the rounds and the amount of people, and even in person as well, it could be just as long. So prepare yourself for a long day, even if it isn't a long day. Get yourself make sure you're comfortable, especially if like online. Make sure you're comfortable. Make sure you got something to drink with you to make sure you're hydrated and refreshed. Make sure you've got anything you need and make sure you're taking bathroom breaks during your rounds. Make sure that way you're not like dying for a piss or anything like that in between around. Make sure you even if you don't need to go, see if you need to go, and just make sure you're prepared and ready for it. So that is it. Hopefully that helps. So that is the preparation for the regional map. Just once again, remember that set 22 is legal for this weekend's EU events at the very least. So prepare yourself for that. Check up on that, and I hope that all helps. If it did help, feel free to drop a like, leave a comment if there's any questions you have, or if there's anything that I didn't cover that I can cover future ones like this. I'll try and do more of these whenever we have a regional, because I think we're getting one like every month mostly. And I'll try and do my preparation for finals one again, because I think that could be helpful. I think people did like that before when I did it for the last regional, the last finals. So I'll try and do it again for this new one because I will be trying to go to the finals this year. Not sure if I'll play the judge or if I'll actually play, because I know at this point in time, due to the Fusion World announcement, like it's kind of like all over the place at the moment. People saying the game's dying, people going like kind of losing a bit of interest, people wanting to keep going. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.